going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Wednesday, December 29th, 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Thanks so much for being here with me. I appreciate you all so much. Hope that you're having a good week so far. It is midweek, Wednesday, Mercury Day, hump day. That sun's going to come to 8 degrees of Capricorn. That's a master degree of Capricorn, so we're talking like dead serious. Like, this is a dead serious kind of day. And the moon in Scorpio is definitely asking for some of that dead seriousness. It's really penetrating into what makes us comfortable, the connections, what we're merging with, what we're not merging with. It can feel like there's a lot that's resurrecting or coming to the surface, especially with this stellium in Capricorn. Mercury crossing Venus, Mercury on Pluto. There's so much of a deep dive emotionally, physically, mentally, that I think it can just feel like heavy weight, because we can feel like there's definitely something that's trying to come up, something that's trying to resurface in our life. And it can have to do with relationships. It can have to do with past life stuff. I feel like there's a high level of karma today. And it's understanding how to, I guess, use your karma to move into the Dharma, to make better decisions. This is definitely a day, this is like a grow up day to the max. Like, we're all taking a spiritual evolution, and there's a lot of maturity in this energy. A big deal today too, of course, is Jupiter. It came in at 8:10, I think, on the West Coast last night, Pacific time. So, right before the day ended on the East Coast. And, this is our first full day, this Wednesday, of Jupiter in Pisces. And Jupiter's done with Saturn, kind of holding him back. Jupiter's still disposited by the South Node, of course, for, another, what is it going to be, like 20 days until January 18th by that South Node. But Jupiter's almost free in many ways to have us connect with a very high purpose of, this is going way beyond the physical. This is connecting to the wholeness of every bit of creation. And it comes through our emotions and our intuition. So our intuition is going to be heightened. There definitely can be a sense of feeling very aligned. If we're dedicating to the right things, if we're able to go into the new mysticism of this story and create structure around that. And I think that it is very beautiful that we have Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces together. We haven't had this since 1856, and that was a very intense time in history. So it's not that I want to say we're just out of the water physically, because this goes back to, Bleeding Kansas days. This goes back to extreme division in the collective. This goes back to a lot of fraud. It goes back to the slavery times in the United States, and how there were people that wanted freedom for all, and how there were people that wanted their slaves, and they wanted control over people. So we're definitely not just out of the water as a collective when we come into this next year of Jupiter in Pisces, and especially the spring, because Jupiter is going to rip through Pisces and come into Aries by, Gemini season. So it's not that we're just out of the clear here. There's going to be a lot of propaganda. That was one thing that history has proven with this transit. A lot of propaganda, a lot of manipulation, a lot of trying to convince people of this way and this right belief and what's right for everybody. So this is huge for spiritual gifts. This is huge for using your own spiritual discernment to not get trapped in some illusion of what's right and what's wrong, but you connecting to your own guides and your own mission, and really opening up the abundant doors that the universe has to offer you if you're not being spelled by a strong Neptune, a media, So I got to bring that stuff up. It's important. But this is a huge time of spiritual growth, spiritual evolution, and really coming into your divine wisdom. It has been 12 years since we've had Jupiter in Pisces, and Neptune wasn't there for that transit. So spiritually speaking, this is huge upgrades. This is something that I am definitely looking forward to for the collective that wants to tap into their highest spiritual potential and how to use that magic within you to create abundance. And I do believe getting this Pisces energy and all this Capricorn energy and even a moon in Scorpio, this is such an intense and powerful day for decisions to align to the highest purpose and to realize there's so much more to life than what meets the eye. Like, there are different parts to this realm. One of the realms is the physical that we see, and the other is the spiritual. And there's so much goodness in both, but it's kind of coming into alignment with that energy and realizing that we only have control over so much. So much of our existence is written in destiny, in the stars, and we don't have control over everything. Yes, we have free will to make decisions. I would say today is a very powerful and positive day to penetrate into the right decisions for you spiritually and to not get duped into the manipulation of anything in life, because Pluto is aspecting so much of our mind and our relationships and our values and our physical, what we want and how we want to get it. But we have to realize too that some things just aren't meant to be, and that's life, and that's where it's out of our control. So we have to be very spiritually discerning about what's meant to be and what's not meant to be, and those decisions are gonna have great payout for the ones that trusted their guidance. And we do have the Sun square Chiron today, so it's hard to let go of what the ego wants right now. I feel like the ego, we almost have to go through. We got to be humble and let our ego in some fashion kind of like take the back seat. And that's going to be very difficult because it's actually our ego which is going to cause us the most pain right now. And we want to identify with our strength in making positive decisions that are opening up great doors in our life. But it's almost like there can be desires from the ego that are detrimental to our greater spiritual calling or a greater mission in life right now. And this is about doing things and coming to a clear, deep understanding of what feels 100% in alignment with you, and letting go of aspects in life that are trying to manipulate or trying to control a narrative that isn't of your ultimate truth. And even as we get the nodes here, we see Jupiter square the nodes. This is all about a skip step of truth and a higher calling and the great ideals that you came here to share with the collective and to connect and to bring into wholeness. But it comes through a little bit of having to work through chaos. So it's getting through chaos in the physical to find beauty and order and structure within and in the spiritual and in the emotional. And that moon's going to oppose Uranus today. So it's definitely like there's a lot. Emotions are all over the place. And we had that quincunx with Mars that just happened exact today. The quincunx with Mars and Uranus. We can feel like we have to take crazy action into our own hands right now to get the story to turn in the way that our ego wants it to look. And I got to be honest, this is where God has a story for you. And if you can feel into the subtlety of what that is without letting your ego take control, you're going to find more structure and more harmony. And Mars is, of course, in that sextile with Saturn today too. And that's a big deal. So today's a no joke kind of day of, there's changes that need to be made. There's a different approach to getting on the journey that you want to be on, and a decision has to be made for it. But it's not just anything, this is getting your ego kind of in check and being vulnerable with what a higher calling is and taking responsibility for that higher calling. And the moon will sextile the sun, and it will, get close to the sextile of Venus, but not quite get there. And it will trine this black moon Lilith to start the day though. So, whenever we can tap into how we're really feeling and our emotions and our vulnerability and not suppress that great intuitive nature that we all have, we'll be able to make more connected and potent decisions for whatever it is we desire today. And this carries forward. I feel like a chart like this has the impact that's going to carry forward into this next year. So I think, if you come to a place today on this Wednesday of decisions, this is where you have to make the most powerful decision for what needs to get destroyed, but not from an ego perspective, so that something amazing can be rebirthed. And I think our mind does get to a point today where it comes into a into a pretty good balance with our intuition and our feelings, so that we can really rebirth what that's going to look like moving forward and have like a structure behind it. Things need to have a structure if you want to keep progressing on this journey. If there isn't like a very deep truth structure to what you're trying to do, you got to kind of ask yourself why that is. I feel like we can want to blow things up pretty quick today. Moon opposite Uranus, and even in Scorpio itself, and then also Mars quincunx Uranus. It's definitely got that explosive energy, and then so much on Pluto. There's a volcano that is erupting within us to give us a good solid look at our greatest potential, but that can bring up vulnerabilities of where we've been putting energy or dedicating to areas of life that are not of that greatest potential. So it's a day, fam. But I love this stuff. I'm excited for this astrology. I'm excited for this week. I'm excited for next year. I think there's a lot to be excited for. Check out the weekly. I talked a lot about, what I was channeling about Jupiter in Pisces, but, basically these decisions that we've made over the last 2 years, especially as Jupiter has been with Saturn in Capricorn. They met there. Actually, they met at 0 Aquarius, but met with Pluto. All that went down since 2020. In 2021, all of these great decisions of your truth are coming to a great point this year in 2022. And there's gifts for the right decisions that were connected to your truth. And I think that that's pretty amazing. So we'll see how it goes. But we'll check back. We'll check back. We'll be here, hopefully, God willing. Card for the day is the 7 of Wands upright. Yeah, you know what? There's just certain things we need to fight off in life, and certain things that, we need to accept into our life. So I think today comes into this decision point of like, well, what are you really passionate about? And are you getting a payout for it? And if you are, and it feels in alignment, then who cares what else is going on? We need to keep dedicating into that place because it's unlocking something great. But then there's also this, I think people too are a factor right now, especially with the Venus retrograde and Pluto and even the moon in Scorpio. And that's the sign of course, like merging and really attaching emotionally. I feel like we gotta hold our moral high ground of what is our ultimate truth, and not just destroy things to destroy them, but we gotta definitely fight off energy that isn't in a strong spiritual alignment. And I'm gonna pull this wild harmonic. Shadow of Earth. Covetous designs. Never read that word before. Covetous designs? I don't know, but I definitely feel like we are in a time of turning a lot of our physical presence here into diamonds. There's a lot of pressure over the last 2 days. And I think I've said recently, like, pressure bursts pipes, but it also creates diamonds. And I think this is where we're making and dedicating to the form that is of our diamond shape, and really showing so much of our beauty and so much of the geometry that we can link together as a whole that is so beautiful in our lives. Shadow of Earth, though, like there is some, because right, diamonds don't just like show up in the light, they show up in the shadows. And there's something about being vulnerable enough to go deep into some of our shadows and to not just, I don't want to look at that. Like, we got to look at that to see how to transform our life into the absolutely amazing and beautiful thing that we want it to be. But today's a deep dive and a deep penetrating look at all those things that are holding us back from that great diamond, beautiful form that is so hard and solid that we have to offer. Check out Gabe's deck, Wild Oracle Harmonic. I have this over here. I'll put a link in my description. It's a super cool deck. Haven't used it much. 2 days here with you guys, but I'm going to start pulling from it a lot and get comfortable with it. I think it's just beautiful artwork, and, you know, I definitely want to give him a shout out. Friend of mine, not getting paid to do this, but he did send this deck as a gift, and I think it's awesome. So just want to let y'all know that too. All right, everybody, have a beautiful Wednesday, and I will catch you tomorrow. Much love. Peace.